I think the outlook, the longer run trends are all quite favorable. Some of the strategic things we're doing here all bode very well for Florida's economic future.
Those strategic things include huge investments in health science and medical fields. Technology, construction, and education are also predicted to be major areas of growth. Forecasters predict Florida's now on track to create more jobs over the next 5 years than any other state in the country.
This biotech park in downtown Miami is just one sign things are getting better. It's being built to house life sciences and technology companies moving to Florida to take advantage of the large labor pool and rock-bottom real estate. It will not even be open until June, but it's already half full.
Florida also stands to gain from a boom in trade with its southern neighbors. As more and more financial companies move in, this Miami Strip is quickly becoming the Wall Street of the South.
Okay, this is very good to you because I know that you are very stable.
But for Martinez, Florida's rosy outlook is of little help. He needs a job now.
You know, at this point, I'll take whatever I can get.
Martinez says he's cautiously optimistic he'll be able to find work soon, now that his state is finally back on track and poised for growth for the first time in years. Kimberly Helkett, AlJazeera, Miami.
The 3-week standoff between Wisconsin's Republican governor and state employees has led to a sharp drop in his popularity. A new opinion poll shows 57% of Wisconsin residents disapprove of the job that Governor Scott Walker is doing. On Friday, he issued a letter of intent to lay off hundreds of public workers. The governor says that he's taking the measure to ease the state's $100 billion budget shortfall. At least 25 people died in Brazil when a bus collided with a lumber truck in Santa Catarina on Saturday. Authorities believe the truck driver lost control on a curve and slammed into the bus. More than 20 others were seriously hurt. The Mexican military has arrested a man carrying 1,000 doses of heroin along with cocaine and methamphetamines in the state of Nayarit. And in a separate case, the Mexican army has ordered 3 junior officers and 10 soldiers to stand trial on drug trafficking and organized crime charges. They were arrested south of Tijuana and charged with possession of more than a ton of methamphetamines and 30 kilograms of cocaine. Now, a group of internet activists in the United States claims that they helped pro-democracy activists bring down the governments of Tunisia and Egypt. Members of Anonymous have told Al Jazeera that they hacked into the government websites, causing them to crash. They wear masks associated with an anti-government figure to protect their identity. Scott Heidler has more.
Hello world, we are Anonymous.
As a movement, they say they don't have a political stance and they don't even have a members list. But they do have the power to assist revolutionaries and bring down the websites of multi-billion-dollar corporations. They call themselves Anonymous, a group of nameless internet activists or hacktivists. A few from their operations arm spoke with us via video chat.
Anonymous or Anon has been described in many ways, a collective, a movement. What are you guys and what do you stand for?
There are a lot of ideas in Anon. The best way to describe it is the freedom of speech, freedom of information, and the freedom of expression taken to a logical extreme.
You've also been called thugs. Do you break the law?
Some of the things we do are illegal, but sometimes we need to do illegal things to make change. I wouldn't call us thugs. We're certainly not thugs. We're not anything like that. Criminals, I guess. We are breaking laws, but for the greater good.
So where do these hacktivists come from, and who are they?
I think for the younger generation, in Anonymous and outside of Anonymous, it's kind of the face of protesting for the digital age. It's people who are getting their sense of humor, getting their culture from online, and going out there and taking it to the streets.
Anon hacked the corporate websites of Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal in response to their move to stop processing donations for anti-secrecy organization WikiLeaks.
A lot of what we've done as far as hacking and the release of material, we specifically aim to avoid hurting people. I mean, you look at the Visa, MasterCard attacks. We brought down their websites as opposed to hitting the infrastructure that would have prevented their services from working. We could have done that, but we didn't.
Of late, Anonymous has aligned themselves with the uprisings in the Arab world, taking down government websites in Tunisia and Egypt. They jam the sites by flooding them with requests. Most of Anon's activities appear political in nature, but their most recent attack was personal. The target, Aaron Barr, chief executive of the H.B. Gary Security Company, who had taunted Anonymous, saying he could identify most of the group's leaders. Anonymous retaliated immediately, hacking into H.B. Gary's server and publishing more than 70,000 internal company emails. As a final flourish, it left a message on H.B. Gary's website saying, "You brought this on yourself. Let us teach you a lesson you'll never forget. Don't mess with Anonymous." It's a warning other companies will no doubt take to heart. Scott Heidler, AlJazeera, New York.
And with us is Greg Hausch. He's an internet activist who has worked with Anonymous and watches its online activities. Thanks very much for being with us, Greg. So we just heard in that report that Anonymous breaks the law. I mean, they don't have any bones about coming up and being very upfront about that. But they do it then for what they call the greater good. What politics define the greater good? Give us some insight into the kind of politics that some of these folks believe in.
Well, in all honesty, there's Republicans, there's Democrats, there's different religions, there's everything in this group. So one political ideology doesn't play here. The only thing that really matters is freedom. The freedom of speech, the freedom of information, freedom of the press, the freedom to live the life you want to live and not be oppressed. In the end, you know, whatever structure you want to put around that, as long as it provides that, we don't really care.
Okay, so it's not a left-right issue here. It's certainly not what you would loosely call, I guess, anti-establishment then?
Right, it's not. There are people from just about every side you can imagine.
Now, Anonymous had claimed in public statements that it was behind crashing government websites both in Tunisia and in Egypt. What's it like being in on a hacking? Describe how it goes down.
Well, for those ones specifically, it was interesting because you were sitting in the channels watching, you know, everyone talking about what was going on, who was organizing this and that. And then actual Tunisians, some within the country and some expatriates, mostly Germany, France, were coming on and saying these few websites really need to go down. They're spreading propaganda. They're run by, you know, the people we're trying to oust, you know, whatever their reason happened to be. And they were actually specifically handing the targets to the Anons who were then, you know, going after them and attacking them. It wasn't Anonymous choosing who to go after. It was literally Tunisians, Egyptians, you know, and now Libyans actually making those choices and those decisions for them.
Right. And in terms of your sort of activities in the United States, I mean, have the group's members felt the long arm of the U.S. law here?
They have here in the United States, absolutely. There have been a few arrests. There have been a few arrests in the U.K. and France, the Netherlands, Australia, you know, all over the place.
And what kind of legal issues kind of concern members the most, you think? I mean, do they feel that it's still worthwhile continuing to do this, even though there are lots of legal risks attached here?
Absolutely. The best part about Anonymous is that right after the raids happened, when various people were taken in for questioning, servers were taken down, there was an hour at most of downtime on what you might call the infrastructure, what kept, you know,